think we're on now.
Hi.
Not sure. Hello.
I'm Kayleen Sanchez.
And I'm Lute Tunes.
And we're Bedlam.
And we're here for another Lute Tunes Tuesday. Lute Tunes Tuesday, not Lute Tune Tuesdays. I always get confused.
Voulez ouïr chanson composée et nouvelle des garçons des faubourgs qui aiment bien à boire. Drelin, drelin, dan, 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 drelin, drelin, dan, dan, dan.
I don't even know which one is correct.
Yeah, whatever. We'll probably change it every single time. It doesn't matter. But I think today's topic is actually going to be lute-centric.
Yes, all about the lute.
We're going to talk a little bit. We've had some comments on the videos and some requests for topics. And one of the topics that somebody requested was ornamentation on the lute versus ornamentation in the voice. We'll definitely do a video in the future about ornamentation for voice.
Yes.
And that'll be a whole nother can of worms.
Well, first of all, before we even talk about ornamentation, I think that it's important for those of you who are curious about Loudon's instrument.
The lute?
Yes.
Oh.
Just tell us about, like, the back, turn it over so we can see the beautiful back.
Yes, I guess everybody is always interested in it. I've gotten so used to it from playing it for so long that it's not very special, but it is special. True that sometimes people are like, what's that crazy thing that you're playing? And I'm like, oh, it's this thing I spend every day with. But yeah, for a lot of people, the lute is new, even though it's an old instrument. And I will do videos in the future, perhaps on the history of the lute and where the instrument comes from.
Well, why is the neck bent?
Oh, so Kayleen is like referencing the same questions I always get at the ends of concerts. There's a couple. How many strings does that thing have? 11. This is a 6-course lute, so it means that I've got these double strings, except for the top string, which is called a chanterelle.
Is that like the mushroom?
String. What?
Is that like the mushroom?
The mushroom, the chanterelle? No, yeah, but it is like it's like singing, same thing. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Is that
I don't
a singing
usually
mushroom?
I don't eat my strings. I don't like mushrooms, so maybe I don't eat those either. Yeah, so the singing string. But you asked why it's bent back. Honestly, first of all, like the lute is a descendant of the oud, the Middle Eastern oud. And the oud has a bent back neck, and I'm not entirely sure why they make it that way. It's not, people often think that the reason it's bent back is for tension or something like that, and that's not true. I suspect that it's a space saver. If you think about it, if I had this part of the neck all the way out, I'd be like hitting her in the head.
Like
so it's kind of nice, and you can also hang it up on things from there, so that's very useful. I've seen lute shop owners and luthiers, and some people get little pegs and they put them on the wall and you can hang your lute up, which is kind of nice. So yeah.
And what about how you hold the lute?
How I hold the that's a whole other video. I'm gonna go into that because there are lots of different ways to hold the lute. Some people use straps and some people sit here, so that's a separate video.
Okay,
yeah,
so next time, maybe some other time.
Yeah, I'll talk about how to sit with the lute and how to preserve your back, because it does present some interesting problems when you've got the rounded back there. So yeah, whole nother video. But today, what I thought I would actually talk about, especially for guitar players and people who are coming to the lute for the first time, they may run into some issues with right hand technique. And I think there's a sort of misconception of what lute technique is. And there are certainly sort of dominant lute techniques in the 16th century. So just to be clear, I'm going to be talking about 16th century and very early 17th century lute technique. But one of the things that people run across when they first start the lute is how to pluck it. And when you first get into the lute, you go, oh, there's lute technique.
Do you have nails?
Yeah, do you have nails? Well, I don't have nails, but that's a whole nother can of worms that I'll go into in another video, Kayleen, about playing and accompanying in Baroque music on theorbo versus on the lute. I will keep this to one topic, one video. How about this, Kayleen? Why don't you talk about vibrato? Chest voice.
Whoa!
Instead of 9 topics
Good luck.
crammed into one video. So here's what I'm gonna say. Never mind. Okay, we'll talk about accompanying a singer. So the singer likes to say all sorts of things, and you just have to ignore them and do whatever you can to make them sound as good as possible. So let's talk about how we do that. We had one commenter ask about ornamentation on the lute, and I think the first thing we have to discuss with ornamentation is the different types of ornamentation. So we have what most people think of as the ornamentation, which is graces, and graces are these little twiddles, and you can have what we would call mordants today. You could have a mordant from above, from below. You could have what's called different variations of a paginatura. One that I really enjoy is the pourdevoir.
Yes!
Yeah, where you would grab that note from the previous chord, so you'd have the E on the top of the C chord.
So good.
And that can be done in the voice, and it can be done on the lute, and it's just a wonderful ornament. So those are called graces. If you're thinking of French ornaments, so agrement. But there are other types of ornamentation. For example, there's embellishment. So I might have an E followed by a G, and I could fill that.
La la la.
Just like that. Or you could do that. Well, or you could, she could do a different thing. Many different ways, and sometimes you have to coordinate your ornamentation. And so that's, I think most people are aware of that, but there are more subtle forms of ornamentation. For example, the way you roll a chord. I could do that depending on what the word is. If Kayleen has
despair.
Despair, yeah, I could. But if she's saying something like hope, it could be much more beautiful like that. Yeah, I guess you could do it all the way up to. And you could have situations, believe it or not, where it's perfectly appropriate. Just be really bare. And I think sometimes people forget the power of silence. Yeah, it's a D minor.
That's the opening of Voulez Ouïr.
Yes, so that's our Voulez Ouïr.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think as an accompanist, your primary goal, whatever types of ornaments you're adding, is to not distract from the words. It's very from the singer. She's the most important thing, or he, if you're working with a male singer. And it can be tempting as a lute player to add all sorts of things and to show off and do all that, and that's fine if you can make it work. But from my perspective, I really think our job as accompanists is to support what the words are saying. So as you are working out your ways of ornamenting your lute accompaniment, just always ask yourself, am I doing this to show off and be clever, or am I doing this to actually support the message that we're trying to get across? Because if she's saying something like, I am dying and I need you, and I'm going and completely in my own little world, the audience is just going to be looking over at me going, what? Well, that's kind of cool, but wait, what did she say? And it's totally distracting. So I personally, and there is evidence that people added a lot of ornamentation to things, so it is a taste thing.
Well, and there are pieces that are written for that too.
Yeah, the Daniel Batchelor.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's some pieces that have a lot more built-in ornamentation that we've had to deal with, and how do I not get in the way of what she's singing? And maybe at some point we'll do a demonstration on that sort of thing. But always put the words first. That's my thought. You agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course. Singing is the most important thing. So.
Well, the text is the most important thing.
We hope you enjoyed this little video on some ideas for lute ornamentation, and we hope to see you next time.
Subscribe! Share our video, and we'll see you the next time for our next Lute Tunes Tuesday. Lute Tunes
Tuesday.
Day.
Yeah.
LTT.
Yeah.
Bye!
Bye.